Every May, the eyes of the global investment community turn to the small city of Omaha, Nebraska. This is where the event dubbed the Woodstock for capitalists, the Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholder meeting, takes place. On May 3rd, 2025, this grand event was held as scheduled. But this time, it was particularly momentous. That's because this wasn't just Oracle of Omaha Warren Buffett's 60th time chairing the shareholder meeting. It was also his final appearance as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. The 94-year-old investment legend officially announced his retirement plans at the meeting and, as always, shared his profound insights on the current global economic landscape, investment opportunities, and life wisdom. In today's video, we'll delve deep into the core ideas from the 2025 Buffett shareholder meeting. We'll specifically cover key issues like trade wars, artificial intelligence, the massive cash pile, investments in Japan, the outlook for the US dollar, and the CEO transition. We will distill these into 8 core ideas that we hope will offer you some inspiration. Part 1. The changing of the guard. Buffett steps down, Abel steps up. First and foremost, the biggest news from this year's meeting, Warren Buffett's retirement. At the meeting, Buffett officially announced his plan to step down as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway at the end of 2025. He will be succeeded by the 62-year-old Greg Abel, who previously oversaw all of the company's non-insurance operations and will now also take charge of the insurance business operations and investment decisions. Buffett emphasized that he made this decision with confidence in Berkshire's future, believing the company's prospects will be even better under Abel's leadership. He also stated he would not sell a single share of Berkshire stock and will continue as chairman. This sends a clear message. Berkshire's success is built on sound business principles and a strong corporate culture, a legacy more important than any individual. Abel, in turn, stated his commitment to upholding the core values and investment philosophy of the Buffett era. Part 2. Sitting on a mountain of gold. The wisdom and dilemma of a massive cash pile. Berkshire's enormous cash reserves have always been a focal point for the market. This year, that figure hit a new record high, reaching approximately $347.7 billion as of the end Q1 2025. Buffett explained that holding such a vast amount of cash isn't due to a lack of desire to invest, but rather a scarcity of large-scale investment opportunities that meet his criteria. Businesses he can understand at reasonable valuations with manageable risk. These are what he often refers to as elephant-sized acquisitions. He mentioned recently being close to a deal in the tens of billions of dollars, but it ultimately fell through. He stated, "We won't spend money just for the sake of spending it." He'd rather hold cash and wait than make hasty moves in uncertain or overpriced markets. This reflects his consistent investment discipline and patience. As for when this capital might be deployed, Buffett indicated it's unlikely in the short term, but not impossible within 5 years, and if the right target appears, Berkshire wouldn't hesitate to invest $100 billion. Part 3. A shifting global landscape. Warnings on trade wars and protectionism. Against the backdrop of escalating geopolitical tensions and trade frictions, Buffett once again voiced his deep concerns about trade wars and protectionism. Buffett stated bluntly that using trade as a weapon is a huge mistake. He argued that it not only disrupts global supply chains, harms consumer interests, and diminishes corporate value, but also risks inflaming international tensions and could even be considered an act of war. He stressed that the United States has greatly benefited from free trade, becoming the world's most important country, and should not undermine this by erecting barriers. He believes that nations should focus on trading with each other in areas where they excel. A prosperous world benefits the U.S. rather than threatening it. We want the rest of the world to prosper. It won't be at our expense. On the contrary, it will make us more prosperous and safer. Part 4. The Tech Wave, a cautious take on artificial intelligence, AI. Artificial intelligence is undoubtedly the hottest technological revolution of our time, and Buffett shared his thoughts on it. Buffett acknowledged AI's transformative power, comparing its emergence to that of the atomic bomb, stating it will profoundly change the world. Berkshire Vice Chairman Ajay Jain also mentioned that AI would reshape how the insurance industry assesses risk, prices policies, and handles claims. However, Buffett also expressed concerns about AI's potential dangers, particularly its possible use in scams and other malicious activities, which he described as potentially becoming the growth industry of all time. He believes that while AI holds great promise, it's crucial to be wary of its potential negative impacts, and human judgment will remain irreplaceable in certain domains. Berkshire has historically not been a first mover in adopting emerging technologies and has not yet found compelling investment opportunities in AI. Part 5. Looking East. Continued bullishness on Japanese investments in recent years. Berkshire's investments in Japan's 5 major trading houses have yielded significant returns. At the meeting, Buffett reiterated his confidence in the Japanese market. Buffett stated that Berkshire's investments in Japan's 5 major trading houses are long-term, potentially holding them for 50 years or even forever. He sees these companies as having reasonable valuations, sound management, good dividends, and global expansion potential. He also noted that certain characteristics of Japanese companies, such as their conservative and pragmatic business style, are sometimes even more reassuring than those of U.S. companies. When asked if potential interest rate hikes in Japan would affect his investment strategy, Buffett said he would let the Japanese people determine their own economic course. Part of Berkshire's investment in Japan is financed in yen, which to some extent hedges currency risk and also signals a commitment to deep engagement. Part 6. A warning bell for the dollar. Concerns over fiscal deficits and currency depreciation. Regarding America's massive fiscal deficit and the outlook for the U.S. dollar, Buffett issued a clear warning. Buffett pointed out that the current U.S. fiscal deficit, around 7% of GDP, while he believes a sustainable level is about 3%, is unsustainable and could spiral out of control in the long run. He believes that if a country continually relies on borrowing for growth, it will eventually drag down its currency. He stated frankly, obviously, we wouldn't want to be owning anything that we thought was in a currency that was really going to hell, and hinted that if certain conditions change in the U.S., Berkshire might consider holding more currencies of other countries. While acknowledging the dollar's current global dominance, he suggested that government actions seem to be weakening rather than protecting its value. However, he also mentioned that Berkshire doesn't take specific hedging actions based on quarterly or annual exchange rate fluctuations. Part 7. The essence of investing, adherence to wisdom and principles. Beyond specific market analyses, Buffett once again emphasized his consistent investment philosophy. Sticking to your circle of competence, emotional control, and common sense are fundamental. Buffett reiterated that investing is not about who is smartest or who has the most complex model. The keys are common sense, emotional control, and a clear understanding of one's own circle of competence. He again quoted his famous line, "Investing is simple, but not easy. Investors need to overcome greed and fear and only invest in businesses they understand." He also stressed the importance of not making fatal mistakes, which is more critical than getting many small things right. His advice to incoming CEO Greg Abel was also to avoid mistakes. Part 8. Reflections on industries. No absolute safe havens. Buffett also offered some rare reflections on the utilities sector, an industry he has long favored. citing the example of Berkshire's subsidiary, PacificCorp, facing massive claims due to California wildfires. Buffett acknowledged that even traditionally conservative and stable sectors like utilities can face surging risks from extreme events. This serves as a reminder to investors not to blindly trust in the absolute safety of any industry and to deeply understand the various potential risks underlying a company's operations. Conclusion. All right, those are the core ideas we've distilled for you from the 2025 Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting. From an epical transition to timeless investment truths, from macroeconomic warnings to the wisdom of micro-level operations, Buffett has once again provided us with an intellectual feast. We can see that even as the world changes and technology advances, the fundamental principles Buffett adheres to, value investing, long-termism, risk awareness, integrity, and respect for common sense, continue to shine brightly. This meeting marked Buffett's curtain call as CEO, but the reflections he leaves with the world are far from over. How will Greg Abel steer the colossal ship of Berkshire Hathaway forward? How will the warnings about trade, AI, and currency impact the future global landscape? These are questions worthy of our continued attention. Buffett once said, "A successful investor isn't successful because they are brilliant, but because they are disciplined enough not to do foolish things." We hope this wisdom from Omaha will also help you navigate your future investments and life with clarity, discipline, and composure. Thank you for watching Wise Quotes. If you enjoyed our content, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you next time.